Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are joined by Mr. Piyush Shah, co-founder of the InMobi Group, India's first member of the Unicorn Club. This session follows the journey of the InMobi Group, its ascent into unicorn status, the hurdles it's faced in doing so, and explores the changes in the entrepreneurial sphere since its inception.
A little introduction to our panelists here. We have Mr. Piyush Shah. Mr. Piyush Shah is the co-founder at the InMobi Group, and Mr. Shah has served the executive board of various companies, presently serving as the CEO and president of Glance. An alumnus of the Indian School of Business, Mr. Shah is an active investor in more than 20 startups. Prior to his tenure at the InMobi Group and Glance, Mr. Shah worked at Deutsche Bank and Citigroup.
Moderating this session, we have Mr. Ayush Vadva, a BITS Pilani alumnus and former CEL member. Mr. Vadva is the founder and creative director of Owled Media, an award-winning creative tech agency and video production house. He has collaborated with leading names in the industry, including Cred and Mr. Angarwariku, creating over 1,100 videos. I would now like to give you the stage, Mr. Vadva.
Super. Thank you so much, Pranit and Akshay, right? If I'm gayab ho gaya, Akshay. Anyway, hi Piyush. Thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure at any event that BITS hosts to have entrepreneurs like yourself. It's not easy, being where you are. So, firstly, thank you so much for giving us kids the time that is really, really valuable. How are you doing right now?
Very well, yeah. Thanks. Great to be here and excited to talk to you guys. Loving it. It's a Saturday evening, so let's keep it light.
Absolutely. And I think keeping it light is not the kind of notion that the startup culture usually sort of imbibes. मतलब हमारे startup culture में तो ये होता है ना एकदम hustle करो and new problem solve करना है. This, what is the deadline? Yesterday is the deadline. And you have been, you're not a stranger to the startup ecosystem. You've been a very active investor, and InMobi was the first unicorn. I want to sort of take a step back, एकदम थोड़ा rewind करते हैं. And this is the early days of probably InMobi and when you were raising funds. What was it like to be in that ecosystem when it wasn't as mature as it is right now in 2020 and 2021? What was the challenges probably when you were turning into like a unicorn? What was the ecosystem like?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. A lot of what we see today, I think is, I keep feeling कि यार काश हमने अभी चालू किया था, because there's so much capital, so much understanding, but no complaints. Yeah, I think what we did back in 2007, 8, 9, it seemed very early, and for us, I would say the bigger challenges were less about people or execution or strategy. I keep saying the bigger challenge was under that belief. I keep saying it. लोग अच्छे होते हैं. It's all the Indian team, strong folks, IITians, whatnot, very strong on hard work, passion, resilience, सब कुछ, right? So then, what was missing when you go out and tell these people कि यार let's just go out and build a company, a world-class product and tech company out of India, the way Infosys did that for services back then, तो लोगों की फटती थी internally. कि यार क्या बात कर रहे हो? Are you saying we'll beat Google and Facebook and these guys, or Tencent or Baidu for that matter in China? I think what was the biggest challenge for us was that inner belief कि यार निकाल सकते हैं, फोड़ सकते हैं. And I think that took maybe many years of shaping कि भाई वो जो लोग, the product and engineering guy sitting out there in Mountain View और Menlo Park, वो हमारे ही बैचमेट हैं. वही IIT कानपुर, वही गिंडी कॉलेज, वही पैक चंडीगढ़ वाला बंदा है, हमारा बैचमेट है जो चला रहा है. So it's all the same people out there building this stuff. So why can't we go out there and rapidly innovate? I think that was very important, that belief, and even now I feel that is an important thing that doesn't change from back then to today. So that's one really big thing. I also felt a lot of people, उस समय हमारा था कि यार, we were in this place called Belandur in Bangalore. And we used to say, Silicon Valley is just like it's not a location. It's a mindset, right? So Belandur is our Bay Area, bhai. Right? वो हमारा Bay Area है यार. हम यहाँ पे headquarters बनाएंगे. We'll do this out of
Right.
India and take this global. So a lot of that thinking, ki, nahi, we are not a satellite of Google and Facebook sitting out of India, but we are it. This is the epicenter of all innovation, all product development. I think that a lot of that inner Guda, if I might use a word, apart from the Guda and apart from the core belief कि यार कर सकते हैं, is what was needed to survive. So I think that's what we have done. That's what was the biggest challenge. बाकी सब capital, innovation, execution, यार वो सब हो जाता है. But I think it just that was important to dispel, and then it took some years. And once that got done, then there is enough in the system यार. बहुत हिम्मत है लोगों में, and I think we pulled it off. So that's what I feel यार.
बहुत टाइम बाद मैंने एक गूदा वर्ड सुना. मैं अपनी टीम को बोलता था कि बॉस ये रिस्क लेना है ना, अगर ये जो हेड ऑन जाना है तो गूदा होना बहुत जरूरी है. And I so resonate with this. But when I look at InMobi and even Glance, you guys are not building a product for just India. These are global products with the ability to probably reach billions of people. And probably in India, of course, there are two kinds of doubts, right? Like you doubting yourself. Like you said that you have to have that belief. But there's also other people doubting you. While on a country level, I'm sure you must have gotten over that soon. When you were probably pitching to countries outside, or you were meeting people who are outside of India, when did that group of people stop doubting you?
I think a lot of that self-doubt actually is more in our head versus, and I can maybe say in this group, there is a whole thing for Gori Chamdi and what we feel ki nahi, these people are ahead of us and whatnot, purely because of the way they can sell themselves and pitch themselves and all of that, right? I personally feel in our case, when you are out there, when you are authentic about kya karna hai, when you're showing your passion about this whole thing and connecting, there are enough people who want to bet on you, right? And fine, it took actually, and I think Naveen always has shared that story, and I love that whole thing. For the whole couple of years, for us, it was not the people in India who betted behind us. It's actually folks in the valley who said, hey, this is good, this is big, and you guys will do well, so let me bet on you. So I think that's one thing. It's a lot about going out there, being able to just go out and pitch. I think trying to narrow your focus only on India, especially if it is a product that can be global, is another mistake that many people make. क्या नहीं मुश्किल है, क्या बात कर रहे हो यार, वो अमेरिका है, यूरोप है, चाइना है, कैसे करेंगे? I strongly feel there is a single biggest huge thing that worked in our favor कि नहीं यार, India at that time, India was छोटा market है, let's just go out, let's just figure out a way to do it. And we had people, like hundreds of people sitting in our Bangalore office doing this from here in the beginning, and then just traveling and going there before we set up offices in US and China and Japan and whatnot. So I think it's all possible. So that's one thing I feel has really worked for us. Overall, of course, I mean, the rounds, and I keep saying it, when you have Kleiner Perkins, you had John Doerr, we had Ram Shriram who betted on Google, and then Masa came in, right? The first investment SoftBank made in India directly by Masa. I think that after all of this, then it was important for us to say, aur kya chahte ho yaar? Come on, that's where the confidence should come for both internal people and external people. And someone out there saying, hey, you guys are doing something big shit, I'm going to bet behind you. That's all you need. So I think a lot of that happened. And I think going global was one of the best things we did overall. And also one more thing, I keep saying it. Yeah, it's good to say you're a tech and product company, but side may do something on services and make money and all that. I think we were very clear कि यार ऐसे तो we can't compete against Google, Facebook and these guys. They're large monsters, इतने लोग, अच्छे लोग, good products and all that. So the only weapon we have is speed to our advantage. how do you work and innovate with our customers before those guys get there, and then have a class of customers who will work with us. So I think innovating not just in good times, but also in the worst of times. I think that we never stopped. On the Fakti Rahi, we kept feeling we've had more lows than highs, always. But each low meant कि यार कुछ तो बढ़िया निकलेगा, hopefully. I think over few cycles we figured कि यार ये low आया है तो यार उसको पकड़ लो, कुछ बढ़िया होने वाला है हमारे साथ. And I think that's really I feel not stopping to innovate, because if you just stay at your current dhanda and the current 1-2 saal wala revenue, people will catch up. All that. So I think both the global part, just the innovation in tough times, all those were big challenges for us, but I think we just did a good job there overall.
There's one thing which I'm very curious. जैसे आप जब story बता रहे थे, I don't know if you see this now, but you have a slight shine in your eyes while telling the story. It has pride. It has a lot of hard work. मुझे नहीं पता शायद आपको दिखती नहीं होगी, because आप वो cross कर चुके हो threshold. But now that I'm talking to you for the very first time, I can see that you're still passionate. As you said, Saturday evening. If you don't love that, तुम नहीं हो सकते. My question and my curiosity is around dreams, right? ये इंडिया से सोचना कि मैं आज इंडिया में प्रोडक्ट बनाऊंगा और वो मैं यूरोप, यूके, यूएस जैसी देशों में, कंट्रीज में बेचूंगा, इसके लिए यू नीड टू हैव दैट एबिलिटी टू ड्रीम. एंड आई हैव सीन दैट सम पीपल इनेटली हैव दैट एबिलिटी टू ड्रीम. कुछ लोगों ने अंदर से होता है वो ड्रीम, मतलब यार मैं 5 चीजें कर रहा हूँ पर मैं 1000 कैसे कर सकता हूँ, मैं 10,000 कैसे कर सकता हूँ. Now my question is, do you think यार कि वो innate ही होता है, क्या वो जिसमें होता है उसी में होता है, या फिर इसको सिखाया भी जा सकता है, इसको सीखा भी जा सकता है?
नहीं, बिल्कुल सीखा जा सकता है. Couple of things. हम कोई धरती पे लेके तो नहीं आए थे these dreams. I think each one of us have, and it's not, I keep saying it, this is not about 3 or 4 co-founders of InMobi. Your dream तभी हो सकता है when your next 100 can also dream along with you. Maybe at the founder level, if you dream, उसका क्या करोगे? What's the point? I think ability to dream and be able to get the next 100 to dream along with you is what I think we cracked, right?
Interesting.
And ऊपर लेके एक आदमी लेके बैठ के उसको रख ले तो nothing's going to work out. Nothing's going to work out, because then every person out there is doing like a job, and you don't. If you're dreaming something large, if you're going into the world of unknown, not known, you're not sitting here saying, "Yeah, let's just build an X of Y, Uber of India, X of Y." No. We said we'll do something that no one has done before. Jahan Google and others are also trying to learn in the same time. So when there's an unknown out there, and complex and dynamic, I think it is all about getting people to dream alongside, and just constantly figuring out what kind of people can come in your journey along with you. I also again say this company is not built by ye 3, 4, 5 hum co-founder. This company has got at least 100, 200 people who operate like co-founders without being called one. I'm not kidding. This is not lip service I'm making. ये हमने देखा है. लोगों में नशा है, लोगों में जुनून है कि this is mine. And I think it's not that they all own enough stock or whatnot, but there's something about the mission, something about the dream, something about helping them do things that stretch themselves. I think that's something that has really worked for us. So ये चीज, if more and more people in the country, and now it's happening, right? It's happening in front of us. Because what happened in the Valley? There were 5 cycles in the Bay Area of ups and downs, and people saw their neighbor becoming whatever they became. I think we now have that in this country. We now have that. But the capital तो है. लोग तो हम ही सारे वही थे जो वहां जाके कर रहे थे. Right? Idea की कमी है नहीं, grit की कमी है नहीं. What was missing was I would say that belief and mentors and people who have done this to show that possible है. Let's just go out and do it together. because it's possible to do this sitting out of here itself in many cases. So I think the net we all need now a million more people to dream and say, I want to make a Flipkart, I want to make a Paytm, an Ola, and InMobi, and whatnot, a Freshworks, and the time has come. I think the time has come. So I'm super excited about what's in store.
No, I completely agree with you. In fact, like Glance was our client as well last year, and it was such an exciting team to work with. And I don't say it for the sake of saying it. I can completely testify, although nobody to sort of we have built such a huge team, but can completely testify that the passion flows through. It's probably not just in this conversation, but is at every level that at least I've interacted with. One thing you said that right now you have all the ingredients per se to probably build the company that you want to build. And I think we have seen a lot of startups do that over the last 1 to 2 years. We've seen a lot of funding come into the country. And throughout 2020, 2021, these founders were celebrated a lot, right? Every company, every founder was celebrated. Like shows like Shark Tank, which I personally thought would be like a big fail. Probably not for the kind of audience that we have right now at Conquest, but they opened the ecosystem of that कि यार एक startup जैसा एक term exist करता है, funding जैसा एक term exist करता है, CAC जैसा term exist करता है. But over the last 2-3 months हम जैसे देख रहे हैं कि market का एक sentiment change हो रहा है. तो आपको क्या लगता है कि यार ये short lived है या फिर you will see that people are questioning कि यार ये valuation इतना क्यों है, profit क्यों नहीं है, like सब जो long term बोल रहे थे, now they suddenly focused on this कि 6 महीने में क्या होगा, 1 साल में क्या होगा. Are we losing that celebrating founders and entrepreneurs, or is it just like for this short run and we'll get over it?
No, yeah, I think see that's the whole thing. We shouldn't have celebrated too much, and we shouldn't panic too much at the same time. I always maintain कि यार ज़्यादा कूदो मत और ज़्यादा मतलब डरो मत at the same time. And valuations, media, all that is just pure external markers, indicators of what's happening in the world out there. And that should mean very little in general. Of course, जो हवा वाली चीजें हो रही थी, that will stop and all whatnot. But that does not mean that the opportunity does not exist. That does not mean that there aren't good quality problems and good quality people, excellent people in this country. That does not mean कि वो availability of capital is going to dry down. Not at all. कहाँ डालेंगे लोग डालेंगे तो डालेंगे कहाँ? Right? China is out of action, out of access maybe, and any savvy investor will look at this country and say, boss, there's something happening out here. So I think it's just very short-lived. I think whoever is focusing on building something should just stay put, keep building, figure out prudence and caution and whatnot. But staying put is very, very important overall. And I think we as InMobi and Glance feel this is a time when good companies will become great, and यही मौका है for great companies who were fundamental कि लेके पकड़ लो और कूद जाओ, because this is the time to build very big, large companies. Most of the great companies we all know of actually became very, very big right around a recession, right? So I think it's that timing. Of course, that doesn't mean you have to jump up and down and throw money and whatnot. A lot of the irrational exuberance is not good,
right?
But flying in jets and trying to celebrate your first round of funding is not a good idea. I'm personally very, very excited. अगले 5 से 10 साल India will go through a crazy wave, and we have everything. All we need is a belief.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And thank you so much for the insights. I'm really intrigued to know one thing. Today, when you have a business idea and you think it's scalable, the first thought is, this is the money that I want. Let's reach out to these 10 investors, 20 investors, and let's raise money. The idea of starting bootstrapped is decreasing more and more and more. And I was talking to somebody, and they very confidently said that I'm very firm believer of that there can't be another Zoho. that there can't be another bootstrap firm which can reach to that level. Do you think the statement, like, what's your stand on this statement कि यार क्या अब एक बड़ी कंपनी बनाने के लिए funding is absolutely integral, or is it still an option?
Yeah, I think it's still an option. I don't think there's a straight answer here. People have taken both routes and made it happen. It depends upon the sector. It depends upon the DNA of the founder. It depends कि कितना गुदा है, कितना resilience है कि निकाल लेंगे, right? For those out there who have done it, like a Zoho or a Zerodha and all the Zs, I really marvel them because they just stuck along and did what they did and figure out an opportunity out there and just stuck to it. But at the same time, I feel if there is an opportunity, if there's a window, and lag raha hai ki there is speed is important and expansion is important, and there are others out there in the mix who are trying at the same stage, I think jumping out through massive movement and velocity is also a great option. I mean, we did that. It's just that we were just very careful. We will call ourselves the first unicorn back then in 2011, but then in 2016 we became the first profitable unicorn of the country. So I think
Right.
that's how I think about it. I think it'll be foolish to say नहीं, मुझे जरूरत नहीं है पैसे की. I want the reason has to be clear. I don't want to divest stake. I think it's okay.
Right.
Because when there's access to capital, and more than capital, there is hardcore mentorship and guidance and depth. And depends on who you take the money from. A lot of this is very important because these are all the same mistakes. No book, no podcast, nothing can teach this, right? So it's all dynamic. हर अपने step में, what is that micro decision to be taken? And उसमें अगर if there are people around you who can help you, then it's fine. So I don't have a straight answer that way. There have been more cases where having access to capital really worked. There are more exceptions where they did what they did, and I regard them. But I don't think people should be dogmatic about it. कि नहीं ऐसा नहीं है. That's all I can say.
आपका जब यूनिकॉर्न टैग मिला था आपको, क्या परसेप्शन में क्या फर्क आया था आपकी पर्सनल लाइफ में और प्रोफेशनल लाइफ दोनों में? मतलब अच्छा अब यूनिकॉर्न बन गया अब.
This was in 2011,
right?
And I don't think anyone else even knew what it meant. Someone would have pointed that time and whatnot.
Right.
Firstly, तो यार घर में थोड़ी respect, घर और ससुराल में respect भाई, right? Because कुछ तो कर रहे थे types, so that definitely happened. But that was उसका shelf life बड़ा low होता है. वो 2 महीने में it came down after you were back to your grind and whatnot. But no, on a serious note, I think what happened for us is when you have one of the biggest guys in the world like Masa, who backed us and who backed Alibaba and 5 other places.
Right.
We were already ambitious. We were already saying, yaar, ye kuch bada karenge out of India. But ability for us to think far bigger, far more audaciously, we will try and go alongside a Google, Facebook, and Tencent and try and be a third pillar or fourth horse in that race. That became possible. A lot of people who we were hiring outside, they said, these guys are serious about this stuff, so we can join them. Some of the best people from Google and Yahoo and Amazon joined us that time. And why would they do it otherwise? Yeah? Why would they do that in 2011-12? So I think a lot of this is not just about money, right? It's about ambition. It's about other people realizing that you are serious and there's belief that you are keen on doing something. And in our case, I think just the perception that we are out there, we will innovate. And this allowed us to innovate on 5 new things very, very rapidly all together. So overall, I feel the whole days on pre-unicorn, post-unicorn have been very interesting. We also made super mistakes, right? We just went crazy and hired like 700 log in like 3-4 months globally, Europe
Wow.
and China, Japan, Africa, US, whatnot. And that's when we completely screwed it up the first 6 months of raising money. Thank God we did not let it happen for too long. But then that was a inflection point where we said, yeah, kuch to, we need a fabric. We need a culture and a fabric that is ours. This is not we going out and saying, yeah, ye Amazon ka way hai, Google ka way hai, Infi ka way hai. No, this is our way. This is the InMobi culture that we defined. And I think that is the second large inflection point beyond this ambition that truly got us here. और सब बकवास है, strategy, execution सब करते हैं, passion सबके में होता है, right? I think that bet on people and people stretching beyond their own imagination, people wanting to surprise themselves first and not their bosses. I think that, thankfully, I think वो गलती हमने जो की after raising our money and then फटाफट realizing it and then doing this has actually helped us in the toughest times. When the chips are down is when true character comes out, लोगों के. And jitne bar the chips were down and the low was there, it's a set of people who would just say, yaar, karte hain. I think that journey is very, very special. So I know you were asking about the whole perception point.
No, this is amazing.
just our experiences before and after was fascinating. And I just hope when people are raising money now, and I saw I think Alak Pandey, the physics wala guy, and I saw his story. It's so fascinating.
Yeah.
मतलब वो बंदा अब I'm imagining वो घर बैठ के सोच रहा है भाई करूं क्या इतने पैसों का. I just did something. He already built something crazy, but I just hope no one screws up and no board member says go crazy, but he just stays true to what he was somewhat. So anyways, that's how I would say.
No, I think physics, Valas, I'm still confused about the pronunciation, but their story is incredible. The way they have built, and in a very frugal way, if you see, right, and in a very frugal way, they've built a huge empire. I think it's very inspirational for, in fact, a lot of folks here as well who have studied that PCM पढ़ के जो engineering करी है जिन्होंने. So very, very inspirational for all of us. And one of the key things, like my takeaways over the last 25 minutes is, in general also, I'm a true believer of no matter what the product or service is, your team is going to be one of the biggest moats that you have. And you said that the first 100-200 people, they acted like co-founders. That's आपने बहुत आसानी से बोला वो, but वो बहुत मुश्किल है. मतलब I know कि team building is damn hard. It sounds easy. It sounds like that, LinkedIn पे डाल दिया, AngelList पे डाल दिया, agencies hire कर दिया और लोग आ गए. ऐसा नहीं होता. एक fabric जैसा आपने बोला, एक culture होता है company का. I want to understand, for anybody who is a potential entrepreneur here, they will now go into the market and find their own team. What is the mindset? क्या देखना होता है पहले 10, 20, 50 लोगों के अंदर?
एक ही आंसर है इसका. I think hunger, भूख, right? There's nothing beyond that. क्योंकि challenges and complexities and lows and failures तो होने ही हैं. I'm preaching to the choir. But it is that hunger and resilience that changes things dramatically. I've realized this over the years. यार वो Rolodex and senior people, because they know the industry, they know contacts, the been here, done that वाले तो बिल्कुल नहीं. Because the moment someone says I've been here, done that, don't worry. That's a red flag. Because in all likelihood, in your startup, you're trying to build something which is a unknown or a known unknown. अगर वो known है, so in any case, it's not going to create enough value, right? So the first thing, at least we realized, कि hunger is critical. And frankly, I have this whole theory of this Maslow's pyramid of किस तरह के लोग are truly going to be impactful with you in your journey.
Okay.
I think जो नीचे है base condition of pedigree, पढ़ाई, IQ, SIQ, hard work, that's roti kapda makan. That's the lower part of the pyramid. In general, Indian अच्छे होते हैं. लोग तो अच्छे ही होते हैं ना. Like दाग अच्छे होते हैं, लोग भी अच्छे ही होते हैं. जिसको आप hire करते हो अच्छे ही होते हैं. उसके ऊपर comes कि is that person passionate about this whole thing? But I feel कि हमने passion को भी ज़्यादा overrate कर रखा है. Right? Every entrepreneur out there is very passionate about his or her idea. But then they fail, they drop off, whatnot happens. So passion also is overrated at times. Then comes the talent and fundamental strategy, whatnot. But uske upar I feel is this hardcore notion of relentlessness and resilience. Agar hunger ho or fat rahi ho, and if people have that relentlessness, right, that is the key point. So I feel talent and passion are overrated. Resilience is what matters out there. जो लोग, and if you can figure out somewhat कि ये बंदा साथ देगा और लगेगा साथ में भूखा है, then that is the single biggest qualification increasingly, at least for us. That's one from how you look at people. But that doesn't mean कि आप एवं ही वो करेगा ना. Why should the person give their heart and soul ना? क्यों?
Correct.
I think that is where ability for entrepreneurs and founders to say, "Here, come in this journey. I do not want you here because I want better productivity and results for my goals and targets and whatnot."
Right.
It is very important to have genuine care to grow these people and to get them to unlock their inner potential. I'm saying a lot of big words. बड़ा मुश्किल रहा है. अभी भी we are work in progress on this. But I think we have figured out a model कि अगर लोग आ जाएं and you bet behind them beyond what they ever imagined, and you give them the canvases that they never expected they could do, and they were 70% ready for the canvas, not 100%, 70% ready. And then there's that discomfort that is there. When there's a discomfort, and they say, "Sir, क्या बोल रहे हो? मतलब पागल हो गए क्या?" That is when people rise to the occasion. Because वो गलतियां करेंगे, एक बार, दो बार, तीन बार गलतियां करेंगे. But then they figure out their formula. They figure out their sweet spot. Here, what is working for them to crack something. And then it is not stopping. That is creating unique layers of confidence in your organization in the top 100. And then they will keep doing it. So I think the more and more we create these layers and layers of confidence, self-confidence, self-belief in people, the more and more they rise to the occasion in tough times. The more and more they end up operating like co-founders. Because it's just special in the way they, ultimately, I know there's a lot of thing about salaries and great resignation because of all of that. People want कि यार मैं कुछ काम करूं जिससे I have self-belief and self-confidence कि कुछ किया है. And of course, the money is an important byproduct, don't get me wrong. But I think that is very, very important in the way at least we have gone about looking at these things. And in all of this, one very contrarian thing we saw and in others is how do you create something where there is a soul, right? So बड़ा weird सा हमारा concoction है where at least we try and run a company where they have to operate like a pro sports results oriented team,
right?
But yet with trust and care, yet with the feeling you're part of a family. Because when you have a family and you have a family member in that business, तो आप तो patient होते हो ना, आप निकालते थोड़ी हो first second mistake में. You're patient, you build that guy, and that person gives back to you overall. So I think that combination of results and yet trust and care is that crazy intersection that we have gone through. And that is what I think is very important, because trying to be cutthroat is not helpful. Trying to be only about care and trust and warmth also is not helpful. धंधा तो बनाना पड़ेगा.
Correct.
But I think that combination is very powerful, and I feel we have gone in that journey. But anyways, long answer here. Sorry, I think you asked.
I do not at all. This is I didn't want this to end. And this is such these are so many insights. I'm sure people are watching them. They better be taking notes here. But just to like my key takeaways were so interesting. Is that self-belief and, as you like to call it, Guda, resilience. With these two things you can really pass through, because as you said and as you brought into our perspective, सब कुछ है. पैसा मार्केट में आ चुका है इंडिया में. इंडिया को एक वो बेसिक रिकॉग्निशन मिल गया है. हमारा जो बेस लेवल एजुकेशन है, एक माइंडसेट है, नॉलेज तो चलो शुरू से ही थी, वो भी है. तो बचा क्या? बचा सेल्फ बिलीफ ही है. आइडियाज तो आई थिंक आर वेरी यूनिवर्सल इन नेचर. But this is an incredible. Thanks so much for, of course, taking out the time to give the answer. मतलब मुझे तो काफी motivated feel हो रहा है. I'm sure people who are potential entrepreneurs in the in the viewership will also be feeling very, very motivated. I think Pranit mentioned that we had some questions from the audience as well that we quickly want to take up. Can we?
So we're running on a slight time crunch, and I don't think we'll be able to take up questions from the audience. But it was a very, very insightful conversation. And thank you, Ayush and Mr. Shah, for this insightful conversation.
Thank you so much, Piyush. It was a pleasure doing this. I think I've taken a lot of mental notes from this conversation. And बहुत मजा आया. मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा बात करके. And I liked the fact that you were very transparent about things. बहुत ही practical बातें करी आपने आज. You actually talked about what happened in the ecosystem. So thank you so much for being that practical mentor that all of us sort of need at this stage. Thank you so much.
No, thanks, yeah. Mazaya. And one passing last thought. I know it's a bunch of Bitsians out there. Right. And while I'm not from Bits, I have this deep old connection. I've done things in your campus that many of you have not done, including being on top of the clock tower, being in OSS many times, and eating a lot in Volga. So my sister was in Bits. So I used to spend a lot of time in Bits. And all your bhavans and whatnot. I just feel I always thought Bits was a very special place, and I regretted not getting into Bits. But great that I'm able to talk to you guys and share what we are sharing.
मैं अब थोड़ा सा jealous हूँ. मैं pass out हो चुका हूँ, फिर भी clock tower पे नहीं गया हूँ. But that's okay. I'm glad you have context of our campus. It just makes the conversation a lot more special. And OSS, I think, is one thing that all of us look forward to. But lovely conversation, Piyush. Thank you so much for doing this for us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you so much, guys, in the audience, for sticking around. And I hope you got some real tangible value out of this. At least I did. And thanks, Pranit. Thanks, Akshat.
Thank you so much, Ayush and Mr. Shah, for your invaluable words and knowledge. It was inspiring to hear the story of how InMobi, India's first unicorn, was built. Mr. Shah's insight on his experience in building India's largest mobile advertising company will go a long way in helping our viewers in their own journeys. Moving on to our next session, Indian Gaming Dream.